Welcome, everybody, to another episode of How Round Is Your Rutti? Today, I have with me Hansa Raja, who is the founder of an award-winning charity in Sussex that supports parents and carers of children who are struggling with their mental health. Hansa has lived experience and wants to make sure that no parent ever feels alone on their journey. So welcome, Hansa.
Hi, thank you for having me here today.
Hi, thank you for coming on. So starting an award-winning charity, first of all, sounds like an amazing thing to do. Could you please share with everyone why you started the charity in the first place and what your journey was to get to there?
Yes, certainly. I'm a single parent with three children, and one of my children struggled with their mental health. And it was kind of through that journey. Sadly, we didn't receive any support, but when we did reach out to professionals, they kind of pointed the finger at me and they said, actually, it's your problem, it's your parenting. So go on a parenting course. And as you can imagine, I'd already beat myself up. I felt like I was a failure. I felt like I'd let my child down, and I felt really helpless because I'm not mentally health trained. I'm a parent, and there's no Bible for parenting. We do the best that we can, and we each chapter is, stage is different. But when you're suddenly faced with a child who's struggling, your world just gets turned upside down, and you just don't know where to go. Um, so it was through that really, and I just thought, I just felt so alone, really, really alone. I just felt like I was the only parent going through this. My family was the only family going through this, and it felt like everyone else had got it sorted. So what started as a Facebook page, I was just reaching out, trying to find another parent that I could talk to. So it really started as a Facebook page, and then parents started sharing their stories and saying, yeah, I'm in the same situation and my child is struggling and I've got no one to speak to. I feel really alone. So holding space is very much about offering parents care peer support, but coming from a lived experience perspective and just saying to parents, you're not alone. You haven't got it wrong. It's not your parenting style, but together we can walk that journey and we can support each other and you will get through it.
Wow, that sounds like such a worthwhile thing and born from your own experiences as well. To have that motivation to start a service for other parents. I mean, how many parents in your area have taken that up?
So we've supported 1,500 parents in 6 years, and that's kind of across Sussex. So we offer one-to-one support. So we ideally see them face to face. So we offer one-to-one face-to-face telephone support. We run webinars and workshops. For me, it's creating a safe space for parents to be able to come and talk, cry, rant, just, what they need to do as a parent, and putting that wraparound support around the parent, and just letting them know that they're okay. They really are okay. And also, for me, it's also about empowering parents with knowledge and skills so they're in a better position to support their child. And then the things I've learned on my journey, I'm not saying would have changed my journey, but as you know, with the more knowledge and skills we have about anything, the better equipped we are to deal with that. But we don't tend to do that with parents and carers whose children are struggling. We kind of just send them off
Yeah.
into this ether, really.
Yeah, I suppose all that care that you might receive from the NHS does go into the child and the child's support. But as a parent, I imagine it can feel so lonely. And like I said, there's no guidebook. We're all just doing the best we can for our child. And if they're really struggling, and it can be so easy to take that blame on, to wonder, have I done something? What is
Mm.
the right course of action to correct this? How did that feel for you personally when you were going through that journey?
Yeah, you're right. I just felt like I'd failed. I really felt like I just didn't know what I was doing, and where had I gone wrong? So you kind of you just kind of look at yourself at parent, think, what am I doing wrong? No one's there to guide me. No one's there to support me. I was incredibly lucky. I found an amazing therapist who worked with me, and I think some of our parenting does come from our childhood, and that can be, cultural as well. growing up in the community that I grew up in, it is very much you don't talk about mental health, you don't talk about your problems. So I'm sure a lot of that was embedded within me that I had to kind of work through and deal with. And yeah, for me, it's just that safe space for other parents to explore that, but not being judgmental. I
Mm.
think we can be too judgmental as parents with each other. So it's about a completely non-judgmental space. It's not a blaming culture. It's not about saying you've got your parenting wrong. It's just saying, let's look at what's happening in this situation and how can we help you to support your child?
There seems to be quite a gap there, I think, from what we hear from research from studies that parents don't feel as supported in the workplace. What kind of things are you doing there? Because I know you've got a consultancy.
Yeah, 100%. There's a massive gap there. So, it's juggling that caring responsibility as well as having to work. And for me, certainly, as I said to you earlier, I'm a single parent, so I had no choice, but I had to work. But when my daughter was in crisis, I had no choice but to leave work. I couldn't, schedule an appointment. She was in crisis. I had to leave work there and then, but I was scared of losing my job. So I'm really passionate that we get away from tick boxes, so mental health first aid training, which it holds a place,
Mm.
wellbeing initiatives, but really understanding what employees are going through and what they bring to work with them, but particularly those who are parents and carers. And when we talk about carers as well, it could be a young carer because we're all living longer. So there's a lot of young carers around. And how can we balance the needs of parents and carers as well as that of businesses? How can we really open up those conversations and create the safe spaces within workplaces as well? Offer that one-to-one support within workplaces so it goes beyond a policy, it goes beyond a tick box. And if organisations support their staff, they're going to retain their staff, they're going to reduce absenteeism, but it benefits the business as well.
Yeah.
And from what I can see in the research I've done, there is a huge gap there that isn't kind of spoken about. We need to change that workplace culture.
Like you said, within cultures, we have cultures that brush mental health under the carpet.
Mm,
I think that is slowly getting better. And I've certainly done a couple of episodes with other people in the mental health space.
mm.
But workplaces where, we have to have a professional face, and sometimes we
Yeah.
we don't share as much as what's happening within our lives. But like you said, when you're in a crisis and
Mm.
you need support, you might need time off or more understanding and empathy for what you're going through. What is some advice that you would share with managers on how to cope with that situation, having been through it yourself?
Don't be afraid to ask the question. Understand who your employees are because they're people at the end of the day. So, just a simple question: Are you a parent? Are you a carer? Are there things at home that are impacting your work? Start with that simple question. And I was talking to a HR manager recently, and when I kind of posed this, really shockingly, they went, "I don't know which of my employees are parents and carers."
Right.
And I was like, okay, so let's start there. It's a very simple question. And, I don't think people would be offended by it. Take that interest in people, which will then allow you to, almost look at what you need to do on an organizational level, have those open forums. What would support you? How can we as an organization support you? What is it you need? And as you probably know, the school day is 9 to 3, working day is 9 to 5. And 99% of meetings that you have to have with schools are going to be between 9 and 3. So, it shouldn't be that you take sick leave or unpaid leave, but how can you balance the needs of both? And how can it work for the employee and for the organisation? So start with just having those simple conversations, have that open forum.
Yeah, and like I said, it can really depend, not just organization from organization, but team to team
Mm,
within one structure. And it often comes down to the leaders themselves. What
mm.
kind of leaders have that empathy, that openness with their team? It can vary so much. I found in my experience in corporate, it just depends on who your manager is, like how
Yeah.
much they will let you go if you have a crisis, if you need to be somewhere versus someone who's, well, these are your hours and this is what you should be doing. Like you said, that tick box mentality. I'm just wondering, in your own family, you said 3 children, one that had the mental health crisis, but your experience now in supporting people, how has that shaped you as a family?
I think you learn. I think, something my therapist said to me is we do the best that we can with the knowledge that we have at the time. And I think as a parent, I've grown so much. As a person, I've grown so much. And we're also bringing up a very different generation. So it's almost having to re-parent as well, and sharing strategies, sharing skills, sharing experiences. And then that to me is real pure parent peer support, is learning from each other. There's no right parent, there's no wrong parent. We just
Mhm.
learn on
Yeah.
each step that we take with our children.
Yeah, that's so true, and I think it's one thing I've learned as well is just be a little kinder to ourselves as parents. So we don't always know the right thing to do. Sometimes we might not find out until they're a lot older, and then we could look back and say, "Oh, I wish I'd changed that." But I think as long as we're open to reflecting on our behaviors, why we're doing what we're doing, and wanting to improve, wanting to change. I talk a lot
Mm,
about breaking cycles.
yeah.
I think our mothers and grandmothers did what was expected of them, and when I look back to my own family, they were a lot stricter in the roles that
Mm,
women could
mm.
take. I now feel that I'm in a more privileged position to change how I want to bring up my children, because there is a bit more freedom. I can think about it a bit more carefully. So it's just knowing what you want to change, why you want to change it, and then how you want to change that too.
100%. I think very similar to probably background to you and the way I was brought up. So I think, yeah, be open to that. And it's okay. It's okay. And you're not getting it wrong. I
Mm,
think we have to get away from kind of using words like failure or I'm a bad parent or it's your parenting style. It's not. It's just we're on this learning journey. I think for me, parenting is a journey of growth. And it makes me a better person. That kind of better parent makes me a better person as well. The more I'm learning and the more I'm growing. So I think for parents to hear that they're not alone, that it's okay and that you haven't got it wrong.
yeah,
Yeah, there's different approaches to everything, isn't there? And we haven't got the answers to all of that. But like you said, be open to just learning from each other and learning from others.
yeah, and reflecting. For
Mm,
parents that may have a child at the moment that are struggling, and I know your charity is in Sussex,
hmm
and there might be pockets of different charities elsewhere. But if a parent was going through and struggling on their own, what advice would you give to them in terms of where to find support or what their next step should be?
Please reach out to someone that you can speak to, and don't think that you failed. I think that's the main thing, and that remember that you aren't alone. So they can always reach out to us, and then we can signpost them to people in their area if that's the starting point. So they can go on our website, holdingspace.org.uk, fill out the form. We will contact them. But I think one thing that I learned, because I closed myself in, I very much was, I felt ashamed
Okay.
and I closed myself in and I didn't reach out and I didn't, kind of let other people support me because I thought they would judge me. And then if there's a one lesson I've learned and one thing that I think I'm getting better at now is to say, I'm not okay. I need some help. Where's the best place I can get that help?
Yeah. And it sounds like a simple step, but I can understand how difficult that is as well. I think
Yeah.
again, maybe it's a cultural thing, maybe it's a female thing, I'm not sure, but that feeling of, oh, I'm gonna be judged, it's up to me to make it better. I have to take it on instead of asking for support. You're right, that sounds like one of the hardest steps to take initially.
Yeah, and I think because as parents, we just feel like, you suddenly become a parent, it's like you should have all the answers.
Yeah.
I'm a parent, I should know it all. I should know what my child's going through. No,
Okay.
and the one thing I always say is there is no Bible for parenting.
Yeah.
So, please reach out, find whether it's a friend, whether it's a professional, whether it's a charity, whatever works for you. And you'll be surprised how many people will probably go, oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm in that situation or I'm struggling. And I think that just comes generally back. to having open conversations around mental health as well, doesn't it? To say, I'm not okay, or I'm struggling, or I'm finding it really tough. I think we're getting better, but there is still more we can do. And it's okay to say, I'm not okay.
Yeah. That part of being vulnerable and
Yeah.
actually letting your guard down, which
Yeah.
historically it's we shouldn't. We should always have that professional face on. So
Yeah.
it sounds like you've done so much with the charity. You know, you've supported a lot of people through that, grown this charity, and now you're starting your own consultancy. What's motivating you personally to drive? Because I'm always interested in South Asian women forming their own businesses. I find that a lot of women, when they see the gap, they take it on themselves to fill the gap and be what they didn't have. Is that the case for you, or is your motivation coming from elsewhere?
Yeah, do you know, when I started this, my motivation was if I can help one other parent, I've done my job.
Mm.
And I think that's what I always come back to is if I can make a difference to another person, then that's what motivates me. And just for someone to hear that they aren't alone. I don't want anyone to go through what I went through. And that's what keeps me going. And I've got such a passion for that parent support because I don't think parents' voices are heard and I don't think they're listened to. And there's too many parents just, just surviving, and they should be thriving, and as individuals and as parents. So if I can make that small difference and keep going, that's what makes me happy.
Oh, that's wonderful. I think we don't hear many people actually wanting to provide the services for others. You know, we sort of go through in our own little houses, in our little
Mm.
bubbles and just carry on. But, you know, to want to support other parents, knowing what you've been through as well, I think it's really commendable. And
Thank you.
where do you see the consultancy going? So now you want to work with companies. What are your ambitions for that?
Well, it's I can go anywhere with that, and I can go global with that because I think it's pertinent to any organisation and any company, wherever they are. So I just want to get those conversations started. I want because predominantly it's women who leave the workforce.
Yeah.
It's and then you lose your identity, and then you lose your sense of purpose. So let's keep really talented women, people, caregivers, you know, doing the job that they love, but allowing them to be parents at the same time. That's for me is so important. And so you don't lose your sense of identity, you don't lose your sense of purpose. And I think, if corporates can get that balance right, they're going to keep their best people as well.
Yeah, I think we are firmly on the same page there. 'Cause one of the reasons I do career coaching is also to help women stay in roles that they love and that they enjoy, but often after children generally, or with caring responsibilities, and that includes parents, other elders in the house, the burden or the responsibility, I should say, falls
Mm.
on the women, and that's when we see them leaving the workplace, like you said. So if there's ways that companies can help women still thrive in the workplace and give them support they need, then we would see more diversity in leadership and we would hear women's voices being represented in spaces that we need.
Yes.
I'm definitely with you on that. I'm very passionate in helping women get the support because I think we have a lot on our plate. We still have most of the
Yeah.
household responsibilities and we're trying to work and earn an income and trying to enjoy life at the same time. There seems to be a lot on women at the moment. I
Yeah.
feel like we're the generation that seems to want to take it all on. I want to say I don't believe that women can have it all. I think that was a fallacy that was created saying
Mm.
women we can do it all. But I think if you do it all, you'll burn out.
Yeah. But
And
you need to do it all with that support
yeah.
structure around you, whether that's at home, whether it's in your community and at work. And I think that's where we let women down in the workplace, because can you have a career and have a family? And often it's you have to choose between one or the other. But why can't you have both? Yeah. And it's also getting organisations to understand they don't need to spend a huge amount of money in order to do that. It is for me creating those safe spaces, having those opportunities at work, having those conversations. And it does, and you're going to save money if your
Yeah,
staff stay. But
exactly.
women should have opportunities with everything.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be a choice between one or the other for me.
No, and it should be creating the environments for them to thrive. Like you said, in the workplace, create the environment, have the flexible working, let them work around the school times, but that the results speak for themselves. I always find they allow women to work the best way they can. And
Yeah.
on the same token, even at home, women need to be in environments that support them. And that
Mhm.
doesn't mean that they should be doing everything, but where other
Mhm.
people are there, partners, husbands, other parents, create the support system to allow women to thrive. It shouldn't just be on women to take everything on board
Yeah.
themselves.
And yeah, and also not forgetting there are fathers out there that have caring responsibilities. I know we talk a lot about women, but I think, it just being really clear that whatever that parent caregiver role is, whether it's the father or the partner or whatever, it has to be equal across the board.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
We are aligned very much on that. Supporting people to get there together.
Yeah, get the best out of everyone. So whether that's your friends, your colleagues, your employees, get the best out of that person.
Yeah, definitely. Hansel, it's been wonderful talking to you. It's lovely to hear your experience and how you've created, a charity and now an organization to help people. Especially when I think it's when
Mm,
children go through mental health, it can feel like such a big, I don't say big issue, but something that can take over your world if you let it, because we worry and care about our children so much. So it's nice to hear that there are support for parents and carers out there when they need it. But yeah, thank you for coming on today.
thank you for having me.